let us continue with the topic. Now we have discussed about the safeguarding of distinctive signs in the previous video. Now let us discuss about the safeguarding of innovations, that is nothing but your protection, right? Now in this safeguarding of innovations, now first we will deal about patents, and next we will deal about industry designs, and next we will deal about trade secrets. Now first, patents. Now in particularly we will discuss about utility payments, utility patents, right? Utility patents. Now what this says, now patents are given to, already we have discussed this in intellectual property rights. Patents are given to inventions based on extent of novelty or inventive applications or inventive uses, right? Now see here, I will crux down the point. Patents are given to, or patents are given based on extent of novelty, right? I'll write down the crux points. Extent of novelty, right? Or inventive applications, I write as apps, inventive uses, right? Patents are given for this. And also patents are given for solutions or procedure to a problem. Solutions, or if you show a procedure for the problem, procedure for a problem. Now see here, I am discussing it and again writing on the board because these are very important. You have to learn this. Now see here, we are going a little bit slow, but this is a very dry topic as we are connecting in a systematic manner. Focus on this, right? Now for examples, patents could be granted for a battery that efficiently stores solar energy indefinitely without loss, a vaccine which can be against for malaria, which can protect against malaria, right? Now these are the innovations. Am I right or wrong? Right? Now the next thing what you have to discuss is what are the requirements for patentability. Everything cannot be patented. Am I right or wrong? So you have to discuss about the requirements and what to be patented and what not to be patented, and what are required for getting a patent, right? Now the first one is novelty. As we discussed in the definition itself, novelty, the most important patentability requirement is innovation. It must be new, right? Invention. Now invention, and this invention must be new, right? Now this is the first requirement, and the second requirement is nothing but your utility or industrial application, and this invention must be useful, right? Utility or industrial application, right? And this invention must be useful, right? Now inventive step or non-obviousness, right? The third requirement. Now see here, this you have to focus here. Non-obviousness, or you call it as inventive step, right? Now what is this non-obviousness or inventive step? Now this is nothing but something when any person of average skill in the relevant scientific technological field put together a different piece of known information and from them arrive at the same result cannot be patentable, right? Now see here, non-obviousness or inventive step, right? Inventive step means, now see here, already there is a, I will explain in a near easy manner. Already there is a chemical reaction and you know that it happens likewise formation of sulfuric acid. Now if you find out another way which is nothing but new step to formation of the sulfuric acid, and that can be patented, right? Now this is what I explained it previously. When any person of average skill in the relevant scientific technical field could together put different pieces of known information and from them arrive at the same result, and now this cannot be patented. Now with the given known information, if he put down and another process, now this cannot be patented. Right, now focus on this is very important, non-obviousness. Right, now let us move to the next one. We have discussed about the patents, and the next innovation, protection of innovation, is industrial designs. Right, now what is this? Industrial design safeguarding allows its owner to control the exploitation of ornamental shapes associated with the products. Right, now see here, it helps the owner to control exploitation of ornamental shapes right, and its associated products also. Now observe here, I'll give an example for this. Now see here, if there is a stylish new shape for a sports car which is made by distinctive plastic material, and certain type of computer or shape of a soft drink bottle can be made as industrial designs. Now observe here, I will give a general example, and you know about this Bahubali director Rajamouli. Now he made a movie called Maryada Ramana, which was made as Son of Sardar Singh, Son of Sardar in Hindi, right? Now see here, the set erected as a house in that movie got industrial design. They got patent for this, right? They stopped this exploitation of their, I mean, the set making, right? Now they got industrial design for this. Now this is a cult example for this. Shape of a bottle. Now see here, your Apple apps, the surround designs, those are industrial designs for Apple only, right? Focus on that. Now next one, we will discuss about trade secrets. Now already I have given the definition regarding this trade secrets, and now let us discuss in detail regarding this. Now see here, any confidentiality business information that provides a company a competitive edge is nothing but a trade secret. Right, now see here, I will explain in one word. Now see here, any info of an enterprise which provides a competitive edge now this is nothing but called your trade secret of a company. Now see here, these trade secrets can be your manufacturing utilities or your industrial secrets and also your commercial secrets, and these trade secrets might be about the data regarding the design, right, safety, technological process, right, organization plant facilities, and quality control procedures, QC procedures, and your customer list. Yes, very good. This is the cult example of this trade secrets, customer list, right, and your business plans. These are all trade secrets, right? Now see here, Coca-Cola, they never reveal their how to prepare this Coca-Cola. I mean, the what you call it as the chemical composition of the Coca-Cola. They never revealed it. That's a trade secret, right? That's a cult example for trade secret. Now, these trade secrets are given legal protection by law, right? They are legally protected, and trade secrets do not have exclusive protection like patents, right? Now, see here, they don't have exclusive protection. Now, see here, even though Coca-Cola doesn't reveal its chemical composition, but some companies can prepare this formula. But when this Coca-Cola objects, unless until when its economy is affected, am I right or wrong? Yes. So they are not provided with exclusive rights. Likewise, in patents. Now in patents, you are provided with exclusive rights. I'll write on the point here. Right? Got the point? Yes. Now let us summarize these things all. Now the next concept what we will deal is, now what is the purpose of this industrial IPR? Now we are speaking about intellectual property rights, trade secrets, trademark, copyrights. Now what are the purpose of this all? Purpose of industrial IPRs, intellectual property rights. Right, now see here, the first purpose, the first social purpose is to provide safeguarding for the results of their investment and development in new technology. Now see here, when your hard earned work is exploited, then automatically you will be ruled down. Now this is what the first main agenda of this IPR, right? They have to safeguard the new invention, right? Safeguard new invention. Now this new invention takes huge investment. Am I right or wrong? Yes, this takes huge investment. Now your investment will get lost due to this, right? That's why in pharmaceutical sector, people try to exploit your patents, right? Your innovations. Now the second purpose for industrial IPRs is, now this gives you incentives and means to finance research and development activities, right? It helps you for R&D activities, increase your R&D activities, and also it will increase your funding, right? When you are with exclusive IPRs, automatically your R&D will be increased and your funding will be increased. It should also facilitate the transfer of technology in the form of foreign direct investments, joint ventures and licensing, right? It also helps to facilitate transfer of technology, right? Now this will be in the form of foreign direct investment, FDIs, and this will be in the form of joint ventures, right? And this will be in the form of, right, licensing. Now see here, I will give you a cult example for this. Previously in India, when Coca-Cola want to enter into Indian market, now there is no foreign direct investment policy and they cannot directly come into the India, right? Now then what happened? Now exchange of knowledge, transfer of technology happened there, right? So this Coca-Cola helped India in cold storage technology, right? So in that case, by giving this cold storage technology to India, Coca-Cola was allowed to market their products in India. Now this is the nothing but your sharing of technologies or transfer of technologies. Now this industrial IPRs are normally your intellectual property rights will be given for typically 20 years. This will be given in case of patents, right? And they avoid the competitors and raise entry barriers, right? This is what we have discussed here. Now see here, this intellectual property rights permits entry to a technical market and can generate steady income by issuing license for the innovation, right? Now these IPRs can generate steady income for you. And now these are the purposes, right? The next concept what we will deal is very important one. Focus on this. Code of ethics. Code of ethics. Now what is this code of ethics? Right? Now this code of ethics is very important for your examination, and also this code of ethics is the main crux for the engineering profession. Right? Now what to follow and what decorum you have to follow, this will be dealt here. Right? Now the principles that underlie this engineering codes and standard are, right? The principles that underlie this engineering codes and standard are: first point, ethics is integral in the practice of engineering, right? Ethics is we all speak about ethics only. Ethics is integral in practice of engineering, right? Now the next point what we discuss is ethics is a part of engineering problem solving. Right? Now the next one, ethics is nothing but safety and safeguarding against avoidable harm that are built into engineering, right? Now it safeguards. Now this code of ethics will safeguard from avoidable harm or against avoidable harm, which are inbuilt in engineering profession. Am I right or wrong? Your steel plants, all these will be the place where you can find out these hazards, disasters, right? Now you have to focus on this, right? Now next, what are the roles of codes? The next topic what we will discuss is role of codes. Now what is this role of codes? Now first we will discuss about the exact definition of code that we missed out earlier. Now what is code? Code is a set of standards and laws. Standards and laws, right? And this role of codes will provide you an inspiration and guidance, and it provides you support. It provides you inspiration and guidance, right? And it provides you deterrence. Deterrence means insulation to shocks. Deterrence. Deterrence means insulation to shock. It will provide you discipline, right? Now see here, this role of codes will provide you education, training and mutual understanding, and it helps you to know how to save, how to protect the existing state of affairs. Now this role of codes will help you to contribute to profession's public image, right? Main thing that you have to know, your public image will be increased, right? Got the point? Yes. Now What are these limitation of this code? Now you have spoken about what is code of ethics, what are the role of codes. Now let us speak about the limitations. Now codes can't give a solution or a method for solving internal conflicts. Now see here, this codes will not, code of ethics will not give you a solution, cannot give a solution in solving internal conflicts. I'll write down the full point here, conflicts, right? And this codes cannot serve as final moral authority, right? They gives a path, but they don't give the final moral authority, right? This is the point to be remembered. And these codes are not legally enforceable, right? They are not legally enforceable. Now this is the point. Now if you are binded by law, automatically you will work together. Now see here, you are not binded by law here, you are not legally enforceable here, right? Now let us next see the features of engineering codes of ethics. What are the features of engineering code of ethics? Right. Now what is this engineering code of ethics? Now see here, these codes can vary from one professional society to another. Am I right or wrong? Now we are speaking about the engineering code of ethics here. Now these typically feature some common points in prescribing the responsibilities of engineers to the public, their employers and clients, and their fellow engineers, right? Now this code of ethics will have some general features, which is nothing but their responsibility to the public, responsibility to public, and responsibility towards the employer, and responsibility towards the clients. Now we are speaking in particular to the engineering codes, and also you have to be responsible towards your fellow engineers, right? Now all the modern codes state that most significant responsibility of engineer is to protect the public health, safety and welfare. Now see here, all the modern engineering code ethics says this point, right? Says this point stressfully, I mean not, it stresses the point more. Now most responsibility of engineers is to protect public health, safety and welfare, safety and welfare, right? Now this is the very important point. Now this engineering code of ethics sometimes emphasizes the characteristics like competence, trustworthiness, honesty and fairness. Already we have discussed about this, right? This engineering codes will emphasize about competence, right? Trustworthiness, now next one, honesty and fairness. Now they look upon this, right? Now got the point. Now let us discuss about this. The most important engineering code of ethics is nothing but the engineers must be more significantly responsible in protecting the public health, safety and welfare. Now we will discuss those things in very detail. right? Coming to the things, the fundamental values what engineers have to safeguard is, now this was given in code of ethics of engineers, right? Fundamental values. Now what is that? First one is safety, and the next one is health, and the next one is welfare, right? Now the code of ethics make it clear that safety is of paramount importance for an engineer, right? Safety is of paramount importance. So when you work in a steel plant, now see here, you will not be allowed to enter the plant without the PPE, protection equipments, right? So your head cap, your shoes with steel gauge, these are the PPE equipments, personal protective equipments, right? Now let us discuss about this safety in detail. Now what is safety? Safety means freedom from damage, injury or risk. Safety means freedom from damage, injury and risk, right? Now these are the points that comes under the definition of safety. Now a thing is safe if its risk is fully known, am I right or wrong? Yes, and are acceptable in light of settled value principles. Now when do you say that you are safe? Right? When the risk is fully known. When the risk is fully known, and then, and see here, and the safety standards are acceptable with valued principles, right? There is a concrete principles for the safety, so then automatically you feel that it is very safe. Am I right or wrong? Yes. Now safety norms change with persons, groups, time and according to the organization. Now when you are in a biological laboratory, you must be in aseptic conditions. Now that doesn't work out in a steel plant or in a cement factory. Am I right or wrong? There is no need to be in aseptic conditions in cement factory or in a steel plant. So these safety conditions vary, right? Now the next one what we will discuss is risk. Risk, the definition itself says, when will you be very safe? When the risk is known, right? Now what is the definition of risk? Risk is the possibility of suffering harm or loss. Now risk is the possibility of suffering harm or loss. Now this is the exact definition, right? Now a risk is said to be very potential when some unwanted and harmful may occur. Now when you say this risk is potential, when, see here, when the harm occurred is very high, when the damage occurred is very high, then automatically that is called potential risk. Now hence, or how will you calculate this risk? Is the product of probability and consequence, right? Now see here, I'll write this in the formula format. Risk R is equal to product of probability of occurrence, right, into consequence in both. which is given by an equation. Right now, what are the principles of acceptable risk? Now you know that when it is a potential risk, you may not attempt it. Now when will you accept a decision or a work, right, when it can be acceptable by you? Right now, that is nothing but the principle of acceptive risk. Now what is that? A human life cannot be nothing more than some numerical figure. Right now, see here, principle of acceptable risk. Now I will explain it in very easy manner. When the probability of happening of an accident is very low, then automatically that is nothing but your principle of acceptable risk. When nothing happens to an human being, and that is called your principle of acceptable risk. Right now, in the next video, we will see about the risk classifications, hazards and disasters. Thank you.